of why they exist and what value do they want to add to their clients. However, the vision behind that is usually powered by the entrepreneur. If the entrepreneur is good at what he does and passionate about business, then he's likely to succeed. But if he gets it wrong, then the results are likely to be wrong. So how does one distinguish a good entrepreneur from a bad one? As part of Youth Month, we look at young people in business and how they can develop and grow their trade. With me in the studio is a business coach and CEO of Centered, Jacques Velleman. Thank you very much for coming, sir.
Thank you for having me, Colin.
Right. Let's talk about the skills of young people from a developmental stage. How do you tell that this one is going to be a good entrepreneur, and how would you tell that this one is not really meant for this business?
Colin, it's a very good question. It's all about the attitude of the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs, you need resilience. Why? Because it's chaos out there. Entrepreneurs that think it's a step-by-step process to move through, and you follow a step-by-step process to make a business succeed. They're not entrepreneurs. The ones that understand that it's chaos and you've got to juggle so many things at a time, those are the entrepreneurs that really get to succeed and know what it's about.
How come young people think that being an entrepreneur is about wearing ties and being in the boardroom more than thinking about the product that they want to create, develop and sell eventually, and then it will get them into a negotiating space whereby they can enter the market and make deals?
Colin, maybe they're watching too much TV. That they think it's about a suit. But the big thing about an entrepreneur is, first of all, you have to have either a product or a service. When you have a product or a service, then you've got to understand, your first thing is to get a client that's going to pay you for that. Only then do you start to have a business. Before that, it's all noise and it's chaos. I have many entrepreneurs that I coach and mentor, and they're very keen to tell me what they have in place. They have a website and they've got business cards, and then when I ask them, so how many prospects do you have? No, I don't have any yet. And that's quite critical for the entrepreneur.
So what are the positive attributes of a good entrepreneur?
Colin, the positive attributes is that the entrepreneur must be able to have discipline, so apply whatever he needs to apply. But the other trait is that you have to be able to sell when you're an entrepreneur, because somebody needs to buy from you. So your selling is extremely important. And then you've got to understand the other attribute that you need is you need to have an attribute and a consciousness about money and how to look after the money, because many entrepreneurs can sell, but you've got to manage the flow of money on the background. And that's an extremely important component of entrepreneurship.
Now, when it comes to innovation and development,
yes,
why is it that we tend to be lacking in that space? Because nowadays one sees that many people want to buy and sell. They buy an already existing product, which is saturating the market, and they also want to copy the model and enter the business.
So what you're saying is, why do entrepreneurs not go into the innovation space?
Yes,
Colin, it's a combination of people are afraid. It's about the human psyche. People being worried that they're going into a space and they're not going to make it, so they follow familiarity. The innovation space is a very hard space, but it's so exhilarating once you can move through that space. So why are people not doing it? They're human. Should people be doing it? Absolutely. And how do they transform from not doing it to doing it? It's just to know that if you can innovate, you are creating your market. And when you create your market, you have a much bigger ability to sell and to flourish and to be a first contender in that market. So
in the country, we have this notion of starting a business and being at incubation stage.
Yes.
After that, when you fly alone. That is why stats are saying that more than 47% of businesses crumble after 2 years of existence.
Absolutely, Colin. But that's when you asked me right in the beginning, what does an entrepreneur need? An entrepreneur needs resilience and discipline. Because the first 2 years, it's all glory. It's all like it's new and it's the feeling of newness. But after that, there's you've got to have enough sales, because then usually your cash refunds or your cash resources run out and the business doesn't meet all its targets that it has to. And remember, in an entrepreneurship, you don't have a crystal ball. You don't have a crystal ball that you can look into and get the answers of how to run a business and how to be a success. If there were crystal balls, Colin, you and I would be selling them and we would be making a lot of money. So if there's not the crystal ball, what does that mean? It means that the entrepreneur has to try and test a lot of stuff before it works. So what does that mean? That means in 2 years is maybe not enough to have tried enough stuff and enough ways of selling your product and taking your product to market to get the traction to grow it. And, you know, we've just watched the Comrades the other day, and it's a grueling race. But you know how many people climb out of that Comrades 8 kilometers before the end? They've run 72 kilometers, and then it's like, I can't anymore, I'm done. And that's the 2 year. That's your 78 kilometers or your 72 kilometers.
So according to your observation, do you think that young people have what it takes from the educational level, from an entry level stage, and when they have what it takes, they give up too soon? Why is it that they're getting it wrong?
It's not where they're getting it wrong, Colin. It's not about, it's about, well, we as society not supporting them. Where's the business fraternity not supporting them? Because those young people, they've got the innovation and they're full of new ideas. They're full of ideas of doing something differently, because they're the ones that are tired of the old ways. You know, the older people or the people longer in business, they get stuck in their ways. But the young, the youth, they come up and they're like, we can do this differently.
Mm-hmm. We are entering the robotic space, sorry to interrupt you, and also the fourth industrial revolution. And there won't be jobs that people are doing now. So what happens going forward?
Well, the youth are actually the ones that need to invent the new stuff to make and the new stuff to sell and the new services to offer. You know, because the jobs aren't going to be there for them. And I think that's a good thing, because when people have got their backs against the wall, they actually become more creative and more innovative. But to come back to your previous question is, how do we get the entrepreneurs to move through that? Is the business fraternity have to, and government and the support structures have to provide mentorship, because they've got the energy and the know-how and the will to move it forward. But they don't always have all the structures and everything necessarily in place. Take Google, for instance. When Google launched their business, they knew, Larry and Sage, they knew that they couldn't take that business, and they got, his name escapes me, Eric Schmidt, in to help them, and he was the CEO for the while. Why? Because he was mentoring and coaching them through their businesses so that they could learn how to leverage and how to scale the business. Mm-hmm. And that is what's needed with the youth.
So you're parting short. If you were to warn young people out there about bad entrepreneurship skills, what would you say to them that these are no-go areas?
Colin, please can I not part with bad entrepreneurship? I want to part with a good message. But I'll go with you in the sense of, when you're an entrepreneur, the stuff that you've got to be careful for is your lack of enthusiasm for your business, because sometimes you have to stand up quite a few times, and that can become draining, and you can go like, you know what, I'm just going to give it up, and I'm just going to go back to the easy road. But the counter for that is, put your hand up and look for mentorship. There's many ways that there are mentors available. You know, it's like if you want to go to the gym, your coach at the gym inspires you to be there because you know that you've got somebody there, and there's a commitment, and you need that type of person in your life, whether that is a family, a friend, or just somebody you know that is prepared to look after you, or maybe a coach that you have to pay for, whatever it is. But get that somebody that can hold you accountable, because the abilities are endless if you just push through.
All right, let's leave it there. Thank you very much for making time.
Thank you, Colin.
All right.